And welcome to those of you who are here and to our worldwide online community to Unity Spiritual Center Spokane, where we are all about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. My name is Jeff Hunter, and I will be your platform assistant this morning. If everyone could please take a moment and silence your cell phones, it would be very much appreciated. Thank you. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. Together, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, one life, living through and as each one of us. This morning we have our spiritual leader, Reverend Bonnie Barnard, and she is going to take us to camp. So I hope you have your tent, and your waterproof tent, I hope. Well, really, she's going to share with us what she learned at camp. Our music today, you've already heard it, but is lovingly provided by Judy Jameson, accompanied by Scott Jameson, our music director. And our song leader, Rick, will lead us in our new community song, followed by Chaplain Marlene with our reading and opening prayer.
Good morning. And it is a new song because it's a new month.
Good morning. This first reading is from Charles Fillmore. It's sometimes taken for granted that if man does the best he can, that is all that can be expected of him. But people all over the world are doing the best they can, and yet are not being saved from sin and sickness and death. So it is evident that they should do more than they have been doing, and more than they have thought they could do. The difference between those who are merely doing their best they can and a real overcomer lies in the fact that the overcomer has hold by faith of a power that enables them to do what he of himself cannot do. The power is the indwelling Christ. I of myself can do nothing. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Success as an overcomer depends upon the hold one has upon the helper within, and it is prayer that gives man that hold. Everyone grows like that which he identifies himself. The overcomer must then be wise in a manner of identification and unify himself only with the truth. Let's take a moment of silence and together engage in the power of prayer to become an overcomer. Divine presence within, I place my hand upon my heart as a symbol of the sanctuary that lives within me. The sanctuary that is occupied by the all and the only God the good. This presence is the sole power in my life. It is active and awake, leading and guiding me into greater and greater awareness of what God is, of what the presence is, and how this power is inter and inner active. I set aside any small egoic identification this morning that has my holy, sacred self may rise to catch the truth that is spoken this morning. The truth that I truly am the God or the good of my own life, and that which I am emanates towards others' blessings, uplifting and recognizing wholeness. I allow myself to experience the love in this space. I allow myself to add to it and bless it. Engaging in the power of multiplication. It feels so good to be alive and awake in the field, in the all, in the only. I give myself permission to feel grateful and blessed and to allow the flow to be alive within me. I know this service is blessed, and as an ambassador of God's good, I speak this blessing aloud. Right where each of us is, God is. Right where the musicians are, God is and is playing divine music through divine fingers and mouths. Each musician is an instrument of God's good. I also know this for Reverend Bonnie. She is attuned to the all and receptive to a message of the ongoing life of God. Today is a good day. Today is a God day. I let this prayer go into the law and the love of God, knowing it is done. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Scott, husband and wife team at the center. Yes, we like that. And when Judy plays next, Scott, when Judy plays next, we get a microphone on her? Okay, that would be great. I love it. Thank you so much. I am going to start with a commercial today, which I've never done before, but I really want to talk about what's happening this Friday. So this Friday is going to be the start of a series of 4 guests coming to our center to share their life stories on what has moved them to take a right or a left turn as they were going down life's pathway. And so each one of these individuals has an amazing story that each one of us can learn from, and these are Spokane local successes. And so when I applied for this job, one of the things I said was that I had wanted to have regular concerts here, selfishly, right? And I also wanted to have a speaker series, selfishly, because I wanted to get to know who the leaders in Spokane are. And I wanted to hear their stories, and I wanted to welcome them into our spiritual home. And I wanted to invite the entire community of Spokane into our spiritual home to sit with me and hear about people who were brave enough to step out and course change in their lives. And so we have 4 great people coming. One is Charlie Brewer, and she started a business from having her heart broken and experiencing a deep, deep love of her sister. And I want to ask her, when the mic comes around, I want to ask her what that love is that is so deep that you're willing to drop everything and create a business around it. That's my question for her. And then the next guest, Marnie Rohrholm, the question I want to ask her, she runs a nonprofit dealing with art and theater, and I want to talk to her about what art means to her and why she thinks it's so important to bring it to our community. And then we have John Pogachar, who I have always wanted to meet. I wanted to meet him before I came to Spokane. I saw him in a video. He is the guy who created all of the love signs we have around Spokane. And he's coming. He was a guy who worked at Nordstrom's, and God tapped him on the shoulder, and he responded. And he had to go way beyond his comfort zone, and his vision traveled the entire globe. And so I want to ask him what it's like to be shy and introverted and not wanting to do an assignment that God gives you, and yet you do it anyway. And then our last speaker is Thomas Hammer, the coffee guy, right? And this is the question I want to ask him. I want to ask him how he chooses his locations of business. And I'll tell you why. I went to go hear Lindsay Sterling on Tuesday night in the pouring down rain at Northern Quest outdoors. And there were all of these tents set up with local businesses, and he had a tent there. What was his decision making? How did he come to the idea that I'm going to have a tent there? And then I went to the doctor's office, and I go into Rockwood Clinic, and there's a Thomas Hammer coffee shop there. What made him decide that being in a medical center is a good idea? So he has an interesting way of showing up, and I've got some questions for him that I would like to ask. So this is the deal. I would like to make this an annual event, and I would like to have people from our community that we love and respect, who are leaders, to come here and feel at home. I would like us to be so expansive that we're interested in learning from those who are in our midst. And so we are selling tickets right now. It starts this Friday. And what I beg of you, please, 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 please be willing to put this ad on your social media and send it around. I'd love to see that it like just hits all of our networks in a really significant way. I also want you to think about if there's 5 people in your network who could have value from being here. And I want you to call them and invite them to come. And I would really like to have a significant turnout for our first speaker series so that it becomes something that we're known for and we do once a year and people look forward to. How does that sound? All right. It's the last time I'll do a commercial at the pulpit, but it means that much to me. And thank you to Dave Ribble, who's done all of the work for this, by the way. So, what I learned at summer camp. Welcome to all of you here in the sanctuary. Welcome to those of you online. Whether you're here to seek the truth, know the truth, or reveal the truth, we are so glad that you're here and in our midst. So I'm going to start with a video that is 2 minutes in length that has photos of what I did 2 weeks ago when I was at a CSL summer camp.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Thank you, Julian, for putting my slides to music. So I've been going to CBAC with CSL Seattle since the 90s, mid-90s. They go every year. They've gone for 65 years. And it's open to all new thoughters. And so there's a whole bunch of people from Unity of Linwood who go, and you guys are all welcome to go to summer camp with me next year, if you choose to. And you would need to call CSL Seattle and let them know you're with us, and there would be a lovely, beautiful space for you. What is fun is that we had 150 people there, and the morning began, if you chose to, optionally, with prayer and yoga. And then it went into breakfast and then choir practice. So anyone who likes to sing got to sing all week long and then perform at the talent show at the end of the week. And we tie-dyed t-shirts, and we went boating and hiking, played pickleball. There was just all kinds of classes, activities, workshops, AA meetings. After dinner, we all got together to sit by a campfire and sing. We played board games, all kinds of activities, and at the end of the night, we would come together to meditate. And in the ripe spot of 10:30 to noon, every morning was class, and I was asked to teach a class on Wednesday morning. And so I spoke about oneness and substance, which, believe it or not, was really fun. So this is what I learned when I was at camp. I learned that lesson number 1, play is important. And so I had the privilege of being an interim unity minister 18 years ago for 1 year. And during that time, I had 2 responsibilities. One was to speak on Sundays, and the other was to have my door open so I could counsel people. That was it. And so during that time, every single person who showed up for counseling was an individual who took life so seriously and had skipped the part of play as a child. They adulted too young. And so I ended up going out to the store before it was a thing and buying kids' coloring books and boxes of crayons, and people would come in to see me, and I'd hand them a coloring book and a crayon, and I'd say, "This is your homework assignment. Go home, color some pictures, and come back and talk to me about it." And then if they colored in the lines, the next time, go home, color outside of the lines, make it your own, come back. And then they were assigned all kinds of play activities. And it took like that whole year of me working with the individuals to say, okay, I want you to have board game nights over at your house. I want you to go hear live comedy. I want you to come back and tell me a joke. You know, I want you to ride your bike. So I would choose kid things that they didn't get to do because they adulted too soon. And as they did that, they got their little kid back that lives inside of them. They had tucked him or her away, and that got to come back. That part of us lives in us all the way till the day that we leave the earth. And so what I got to see was how important it is for all of us to play and to have ways to play together. So this is how play benefits adults. First, it reduces stress. Second, it improves our brain function, balance, and memory. Third, it stimulates problem solving. If you remember last month's series, that open-mindedness comes in part by willing to be outside of the box, and that thinking outside of the box often comes in a resigned state of play. 4, it improves relationships and allows you to connect with others. 5, it keeps us young. 6, it improves social skills. And 7, if you're playing with somebody who you had experienced hurt with and from, a healing can happen. So that's a lovely option and opportunity. So the second learning that I had, lesson number 2, is that exclusion is a part of life and natural, and it is good. So too is inclusion. And here's the other part to that. In the realm of oneness, there is no such thing as exclusion or inclusion. So I led meditation on the same day that I did my class. And after meditation at night, one of the campers came up to me and said, "Can I talk to you?" "Sure." And she said, "I'm feeling really bad right now. I feel like I've been excluded. There's a group here at camp that I'm a part of, and I feel like I've been ignored. I feel like I wasn't being received well. I feel like it didn't matter that I was here, and I just feel really excluded." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's the human side of yourself. Let's go upstairs. Let's go into divine presence. Let's go to spirit. Now replay that experience you had from the viewpoint, from the perspective of God. Now tell me, what do you see?" And she lit up, and her entire body language shifted, and she said, "Oh, I am supposed to be connecting with God, not with people right now. And she said, they pushed me along so I could go do what I'm supposed to do. And she was ecstatic. And simply moving her consciousness, and it's not simply, but it is simply, moving the consciousness from looking at it from a human perspective to looking at it from spirit, shifted everything. And then she said to me, she said, you know what? When I think about it, Bonnie, they're not my people anyway. And it's like, that's right. There's 8 billion of us on the planet. There's a whole bunch of people that aren't our people. And that's okay. And so I had a girlfriend who's now deceased, God bless her, and she called me up one day many years ago, and she said, I just got off the phone with a woman I knew who I hadn't talked to in 20 years, and I missed her. And I called her up and said, hey, I want to check in and see how you're doing. It's been 20 years, I've missed you. And the lady said to her, I haven't talked to you in 20 years because I haven't wanted to. You know, like we grew our separate ways and I'm not wanting to come back together. And she called me and she said, my feelings are really hurt. What do I need to forgive? And then she said, well, let me ask a different question. What if you received that phone call, Bonnie? And I said, oh my God, I'd be so happy. And she said, what do you mean you'd be happy? And I said, she just saved me decades of being in wrong relationship. She told you up front, we aren't a fit. Now you get to go be with people you are a fit with, and you get the opportunity to not continue to have some kind of drama to figure out why it's not working. She just saved you decades. And she goes, oh my God, she did. This is the best news. And so the idea of being excluded or included comes from duality. Do we see that? Excluded, included, they're polarities, they're opposites. When you're in oneness, those opposites aren't being spoken out of your mouth. So it's a clue when somebody feels excluded, divided, different, whatever, that they are coming from a consciousness of separation within themselves. And it's a clue to be able to say, let's go to the oneness. Let's go to the realm of truth and see what's really going on here. So here are the benefits of being excluded. Who thought you'd hear this in a summer camp talk? First of all, we aren't our emotion. Okay, so we feel excluded, and in order to have an emotion, we have to have a thought coupled with it. We know that in New Thought. Emotion and thought go together hand in hand. Feeling is different. We'll talk about that someday, but right now, if you have a thought, an emotion follows, or if you have an emotion, it's hidden in a thought, okay? So we realize that we're not our emotion, and then we're not the thought or the story that we've told about that emotion. And then the real winner here is that we're being called back to source where we belong and where our home base is. Another benefit of being excluded is that we come to the awareness that we attract based upon our vibration, and that a no is just as holy as a yes. And I'll tell you that while I was at camp, every night people threw parties. This is just like camp. People threw parties in their bedrooms or outside or wherever, and I would knock on doors and say, hey, can I be included? Can I come in? And they'd say no. And I'd go, okay, and I'd go to the next door, because there would be a door that would be mine. And it was so helpful for them to say no if it wasn't mine, because then I didn't have to do the mental work to go in to figure out that this is not the party that I want to be in. So I had no issue, no angst, no anything around the idea of being excluded. In fact, I was so grateful because I go, okay, next door, and it just wasn't a thing. So Krishnamurti and his writings remind us that it is only our mind or our mental constructs that get hurt. Isn't that interesting? It's how we perceive the world that gets hurt. It's how we perceive our identity that get hurt. Only an identity can be hurt. An open heart is different than our perception and our identity. And so this brings me to talking about loneliness. And what I want to say is that my friend Gay here somewhere is, she prayed for 6 years to have me come forward. When I met her, she said, I prayed for 6 years that I could have a friend who could match my vibration. And so there was a patience with it. It wasn't an automatic kind of a thing. And might I tell you, it took a lot for the cosmos to redirect my life in order to bring me here in order to meet her. So, awareness around loneliness. Whether you are lonely or alone is a function of consciousness. And what I mean by this, again, is that when we are lonely, it is coming from a place of duality, because it is, we're having a feeling and we think that feeling should be different. We're having an emotion, we think that emotion should be different. And usually it comes from that place inside of us that is so vulnerable and raw, and we want to just put something in it. We want to not feel it. And only your higher self, only my higher self, only the divine presence can fill that hole that is within us. So grabbing externally for people to fill that hole so you don't experience loneliness will never satisfy. And so what people who are internally resourced know is that it took a lot of sitting in loneliness to open for God, the divine presence, the light, to lift that loneliness into a place of aloneness. And to be alone is a very holy, sacred, beautiful space. So when you are alone, you are full, you are whole, you are complete, and that comes from sitting for a long time with that internal ache until it shifts. Does that make sense? So our country is currently going through a loneliness epidemic, and as everything is shifting in as far as structures go in our culture right now, I am very curious to see how Spirit plays this out, because I think of all those people who are lonely. If they allow that feeling to just be and to go deeper inside themselves, they can have a rebirth and show up different. And it's not to say that feeling lonely isn't valuable, it's the opposite. It's to say it's so valuable, because it draws us within to ourselves to go deeper and to find a space within us, since it's all internal work, that is satisfied with who we are, that we may go out into the world and not have to use other people to meet our needs, but we go out into the world to bring our gifts and our talents and to connect with others. So the benefits of embracing loneliness is that we learn to connect with source, with self, and with capital N nature, because all of us know that if we are experiencing that internal rawness and we go and sit with the tree, something happens. So it is, and I'm really starting to understand how God shows up as capital N nature. Second, our esteem expands each time that we touch the hem of wholeness. So every time we sit in the sensation of loneliness and we allow that feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to die, to rise up, we allow that feeling there, a rising will take place and wholeness will meet us. You can find your worth and give up settling. And here's the analogy that I have. Hungry people will eat anything. So lonely people who want to be filled by other people will be with anyone. And I remember that from being a teenager, just saying. So you wake up, as that gets filled, then you wake up to choosing your inner circle. And I think our inner circles are the most holiest, sacred, almost like Jesus and the disciples kind of deal, is that they are the people who are there, ride and die for us, and we for them. And it is our chosen family. It is our heart group. It is our people. And when we come from a place of wholeness, we find each other. And then realizing another benefit to embracing the feelings of loneliness is that we realize that lonely is different than being alone. So if you are experiencing loneliness, or when you experience loneliness, sit down and meditate and let yourself feel it. It's only energy coursing through your body. Second, allow emptiness to become an active part of your spiritual journey. Realize that what you are feeling is simply energy, and that when we sit with it and we allow the divine within us, it shifts. And from this place, some of the greatest art on the planet is created. Poetry, visual art, plays, musicals, books. So allow that, if you choose, to be expressed in the form of art. Invite your higher self to hold you, and then be of service to others. So one of our congregants who's here today has asked me to speak about breakdowns. Again, interesting for summer camp, right? But I had made a comment about a breakdown being a precursor to a breakthrough, and that sometimes we underrate our own breakdowns. And he asked me to speak about it. So I'm going to speak about it for a few minutes from a spiritual perspective, not a psychological one. So here we go. R.D. Laing, a Scottish psychiatrist who believed that diagnoses are a theory and not a fact, says that psychological breakdowns are actually breakthroughs to enlightenment. Unknown. The truth is, everyone gets to the point of breakdown, only some people hide it better. So part of the spiritual awakening process is that the mental constructs and the patterns that we have within fall apart. That is a mental breakdown, looking at it from a spiritual perspective. And those mental constructs and patterns are attached to our identity. So we feel like we're losing the self that we knew, because that which held it together, our perception of ourself, is falling apart. And the scripture says, be willing to die every day. That's what this means. This means that the image we have of ourselves, the identity we have, falls apart, and that part of our spiritual practice is every day to allow that to happen. Some people call it surrender. It's surrendering the egoic, little, smaller identity of you into what you were born into, which is the radiant energy of the divine. We are it in form. And as we are letting go of our mental constructs, it feels in our body and in our being as though we are breaking down. And from a certain level of viewpoint, we are. So Winston Churchill, when you're going through hell, keep going. And what the spiritual folks say is, don't set up a camp in the midst of your misery. So from a Buddhist perspective, here's Pema Chodron. She says to be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. To live fully is to be always in no man's land, no woman's land, no person's land. To experience each moment as completely new and fresh. To live is to be willing to die over and over again. Again, this is our mental constructs, the way we see ourselves. From that awakened point of view, that's life. Death is wanting to hold on to what you have and have every experience confirm you and congratulate you and make you feel completely together. So even though we say Yamamara is fear of death, it's actually fear of life. And Yamamara are the names of two different bodhisattvas in Buddhism. The first one, Yama, rules hell, and Mara has a temper and is considered evil. So bodhisattvas are enlightened people who show up in our lives in order to activate our constructs, in order to break down. So they are here of service to us. And when we recognize that, we can surrender to the presence of the divine within us and be reborn, and that's called life. So Michael Beckwith said in an interview I heard this week in a conversation with Russell Brand, he said, I had to break down, and he was talking before about his identity. He said, I had to break down in order to break through. A breakdown to break through is different than a dark night of the soul. A dark night of the soul is when we are living in the place where God feels as though it's absent to us. And I have had several dark nights of the soul, and they can last short or they can be very long. I've had one last a couple years, and it feels really odd to get up in the morning and feel vacant inside, as though the presence does not exist. And yet that all is a part of this transformation, and it is different than a breakdown, but they can come together. So I have two breakdown analogies for us. The first is a pressure cooker. So one way to look at a breakdown is that we are under an extreme amount of stress or pressure. Where does stress come from? A mental construct. It comes from an idea in the mind, and it can be real in that a lot of people have breakdowns because they work too much. So it could be real that you're telling yourself, I'm working too much, like I'm not having enough space, enough time, enough whatever. It can be validated in form, but the deal is that the pressure and the stress can be like a pressure cooker in that the steam builds up in order for the cooking to break down. And what's amazing about a pressure cooker is you can't be overcooked, and that there's more flavor when it's done. The flavor is intensified. So I do like that analogy. Here's another wonderful analogy. This is the Ballard Locks in Seattle. And when a boat comes in the locks, there's one side of the water that's higher than the other. So a boat comes in and then enters into a chamber, and the chamber closes. Ooh, doesn't that sound familiar? And then the water rises, they go up, and then the boat can actually meet the water and move along. So if we look at that as an analogy for a breakdown to a breakthrough, what we see is that we enter into a chamber in order to be lifted up. Once lifted up, then our boat can go. So this is my awareness that I had this past week around attending camp, around the week that I had, which was just delightful, and around the preparation for today's talk. My awareness is that I would not want to be in this world that you and I live in without having an activated spiritual awareness. I just don't know how people do it. So I was really aware of, although the spiritual journey is not tidy, it's messy, and it's not fun all the time. It can be grueling. It's an internal job. I would much rather go through what I have been through and who I've become with an active spiritual awareness within me than to navigate this planet without that. And then second, certain levels of awareness can hear what I'm saying today. And all of this is a natural process. and it is good. It's just like leaves falling off the tree in the fall. They fall from their source. Trees fall off of the source, leaves fall off of the source of the tree onto the ground. They disintegrate, and then they add to the soil. So all through nature, we will see examples of breakdown in order to break through. And a certain level of awareness will hear what I'm saying today, and it will make sense. And for those who can't hear it, all of these shifts can feel really tragic. And so I invite each one of us to have compassion for those who can't see or hear spiritually yet, because life, it can be really rough. And then 5, I was aware that my way of deepening my access to spirit is meditation. It's sitting in silence, it's sitting and being with that divine presence. And then lastly, the awareness that I had for myself is all of this is a reminder to stop throughout the day and to look at where I'm coming from. Am I coming from spirit? Am I coming from oneness? Or am I coming from the viewpoint of duality where the pain exists? So, we've been to camp together, and let's go into meditation. So we start with play and we end with breakdowns to break through. And all of it is an aspect of this journey we call life. And so let's take a moment together in this container of meditation and drop our attention to our heart. Allowing the energy from our heart to feed our entire body system, make its way down through our legs to planet Earth, up our face to the top of our head, in front of us and behind us, circling us and those we sit around. And as you sit inside your body, notice if there's anywhere that needs a little bit of love, and if so, direct the energy from your heart to that place within. Feel into the field around you. Notice if there's any gaps or open spaces in your own field, and if so, allow the heart energy to go and mend your field. And once your energy feels buoyant, allow yourself just to kind of start feeling outwardly with your heart the different rows that you sit in and sit around. Feeling that luscious energy of love that existed in this room before we came in has multiplied in our presence and will exist after we leave. And and I speak my word for each one of us, that right where we are, God is. It's not only in the person next to us, it's in us as well. It's in me, it's in you. It has to be, because it's the only thing that is, and we took form from the allness and the only. So it is from this divine place of knowing that all of our needs are met. Whatever you need and require for divine presence to show itself and expand itself through you is provided right here and right now. We don't know the form it will come in, but we know it will come. For God the good loves each and every one of us right where we are, just as we are at this very moment in time. And so from this open heart, just send out blessings to everyone here in this room and online. Send out blessings to the children who are in the other room creating and playing and exploring their understanding of God. And let's send it out to all of Spokane, where God the good has said yes to this community, and to our state, and to the United States, and to the world, and to the planets and galaxies. And then let's allow it to just come back into our own present field. And I just give thanks that each one of us is the presence of God, is fed by the presence of God, is nurtured by the presence of God, is uplifted by the presence of God, is inspired by the presence of God, is guided by the presence of God, is aware of the presence of God, and that this good is always available to us and through us. And so as we recollect our energy back into our space, we give thanks for this allness and onlyness of God, and for being here together today. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. I love the talent that we have. How fantastic. Now it's our time to give. And so I invite us to take out our checks, cash, our auto tithe giving card, our gratitude for the amazing life that each and every one of us has here at the center. So when you have what you are wanting and desiring to give, I invite you to place it upon your heart. And for those of you online, there is a directions online to tell you or inform you on how you can give if it's yours to do. And let's start with our prayer together. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. Thank you, Scott. So I invite my friend Amy to come up and join me to bless the money, and anyone else who's here who wants to hold my hand and bless money with me, come running up. Love to have you over on one side. Here comes Linda. Yay, come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Woo! It's an abundance of women today. I was talking to Gay yesterday and saying that I have had 6 miracles this week. So we're bringing back the feathers because the walls are going to get full. And Al is sitting in the front row today, and he is a living miracle for us as well. Woo! Reminds me that all is possible to those who believe. All is possible with God to those who believe. All right, so let's extend our hands from our hearts in the direction of the giving. And I just give thanks that the presence of God is here in our midst, as us, in us, and through us this day. I give thanks that this giving represents the wholeness and fullness and abundance of God, which each and every one of us are. I give thanks that this money is used to multiply the good here at the center, that it is used to tend to staff and building and grounds and all of the needs that exist, that we may experience the fullness and overflowness of God right here and right now. And for our consciousness that provides all of this, I do give thanks. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Bonnie, for your inspirational message and for the beautiful music. Thank you both. Let's say our unity statement together. Together, unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. So, is there anyone here for the first time today? And if you feel comfortable raising your hand, we have a new welcome packet that has a coupon in it for a free beverage at our barista stand, and some other goodies too. Is there anybody here for the first time? Oh, yes, way in the back. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Anybody else? Oh, we have a lady in front here. Get this lady a packet, yes. So welcome. We welcome everybody that's here, and especially the new first-timers. We really love seeing you. And we also love all of you that are joining us online. That's a really important part of our ministry. I can't emphasize it enough that the presence that you're holding in your homes or wherever you are is really crucial to the mission that we have here at our center. So we really value you and appreciate you. We encourage you to sign up if you're new, or if you haven't signed up for our e-newsletter, we encourage you to sign up for our e-newsletter, because that gives you all the information about our classes, our workshops, everything that's going on here. And you can sign up by scanning the QR code. There it is, there's the QR code, and it's around the center. And we would like to connect with you also on social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Unity Spiritual Center Spokane to find us. And again, we really appreciate all of you being here today, either here or on the World Wide Web. Our chaplains today are Murphy and Steve. We love our chaplains here. They have been holding the service in prayer for us today. And Murphy and Steve will be available to pray with you immediately following the service. So if you have anything that is heavy on your heart or that you would like to celebrate, please come up and Murphy will be here in front to pray with you. And we really appreciate your service. We'd also like to encourage anyone who is in need of prayer to fill out a prayer request that's in the seat pocket in front of you, and place it in our prayer boxes. There's one here, there's one in the back and one in the atrium. And it will be prayed over at by our chaplains in our prayer center for 30 days and also sent to Worldwide Unity, where it'll be prayed for over 30 days. And now we have Jeff Tawney with news you can use. Let's hope he's short today. Let's hope he doesn't run on. No, I don't mean that short. I mean literally short.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Well, first off, and I'm trying to keep these in 3 minutes, so I'm going to go fast. All right. First off, later after service, 11:30, we have Jefferson. He's actually everybody's going to get to meet him in a little short time here when he comes in with the kids. But if you haven't registered, you're welcome to just show up. We got plenty of food, so be sure to be there for Jefferson. And then we have the Unity Choir and Ensemble. I'm going to bunch these two together because I'm going to ask Janice over here to stand. And if you are interested in the Unity Choir or the Women's Ensemble, please see Janice. The details are, they're going to be in the newsletter, but there's 2 different dates and times that they will be rehearsing. So if you're interested in one or the other or both, be sure to see Janice. She's given a thumbs up because she wants everybody to participate. So be sure to see Janice after the service, and she'll have the details. There's no live auditions here, just so don't worry about that. You won't be asked to sing in front of a bunch of people here today. Also, we have the Power is Within class, a 5-week series that's going to be with Catherine Dietz here at the center, beginning on Tuesday evenings in the chapel. Starts September 12th from 6 to 7:30. Cost is $175. If you're interested, please register in the e-news. You will get the link in the newsletter that you get online, and you can register there. That's all I have.
Well, that's as brief as I've ever seen him. Thank you. All right, our kids have arrived, so let's welcome them in with Walking in the Light. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light. In the light of God, in the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, in the light. In the light, in the light, in the light, in the light, in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. Wow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so blessed to have such an amazing youth ministry here at Unity Spiritual Center. Not only these beautiful faces you see, but the adults that work with them. It's just a real gift to this center, and we appreciate every adult that works in our youth ministry department. And our Reverend Jackie, of course, who leads it all. We really appreciate her. So, guess what? It's the first Sunday in the month. Who's got a birthday? It's birthday Sunday. If you have a birthday in September, please stand and we will sing. And there's birthday cake after the service. So everybody stand if you're able, and let's sing. Oh, no. Don't stand. Just the people who have birthdays. Reverend David and Donna. Oh. And Janice. Actually, today is Janice's birthday. So, all right, here we go. Ready? Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candles, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your eyes wherever you go. Happy birthday! All right, before we do our blessing, we have an announcement from our own Reverend Jackie.
There you go. Okay. We love all of our volunteers at Unity, and we especially appreciate those that serve on Sunday morning with the kids. And this morning, I would like to share with you about the longest serving volunteer in youth ministry that I've ever known, 50 plus years. That's our own Mary Ladwig. We especially love, I said I could have this memorized. Here we go. Mary has served, she's held the light consistently, unwaveringly, above and beyond Sunday mornings, till the very end of her life. And as you noticed on the back of your program, we have an opportunity to honor the memory that we have of Mary and to join her family, the Ladwig family, on September 17th after this service back in the children's playground area. So I expect to see all of your faces. Although, you know, it's interesting, I can't really see a lot of your faces because now I can see you better. But anyway, so thank you for keeping that date in mind and sharing that with others who might not be here this morning but would love to be a part of that dedication.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, let's get ready and bless our children, all right? Together. Be the love you are, sing the song you hear, share your joy of life with people far and near. And for ourselves, be the love we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near. Do you have something else? All right, let's stand now. Oh, children, find the people you came with. And now, as you're able, please stand for the prayer of protection and the peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth. Have a wonderful day.